like a dreamer. Fly all over the world. Open your shell so the world can see. You're a beautiful pearl. Live your day like you mean it. And don't forget who you are. You're free to go anywhere. There's no distance too far. And I just can't get enough of your energy. I just can't get enough. You're the spark shining in the dark. Oh, 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 love.
Welcome to It Is What It Is with Cindy Seville. We have a wonderful show in store for you. It Is What It is a show all about real people, real life stories. We all have a story, and I'm here to share those stories with you. So first, let's get into mitzvah time. A mitzvah is a good deed. I want to talk about a special mitzvah that is happening and happens everywhere, and is going to be something that I'm getting more involved with, helping the homeless. And there's so many different amazing organizations out there that feed the homeless, that that provide not only food but clothing and shelter and all that. And I've recently got involved with, I'm going to mention my friend's name, Bill Stacks, who has a show, Chatting with Stacks. And the two of us went to visit something called Tent City in Bristol, Connecticut. And people live in tents. I mean, they live in tents everywhere. But this is the first time I've seen something like this and met some of the homeless, and really touched my heart. So taking up collections, going to go and meet with the homeless and hopefully help them in some way. So that's going to be the mitzvah that we're going to be doing. But I encourage you to do mitzvot, many mitzvahs. Do a mitzvah every day. Do a kind deed, a kind act every day. If you see someone who's homeless, do me a favor, reach out, say hello, see if you could help them in some way. I mean, it doesn't have to be money. It could be food. It could be a job. It could be, some clothing, a place to stay. But even just a kind hello, how are you? That goes a long way. So that's a mitzvah. So do your mitzvahs, send them in to me. I want to hear about them. Now, giveaway, make sure you comment, like, and share. And the more times you comment, like, and share, the more times you have of winning my book. It's a really good book. It is what it is. I say it like it is in this book. It's my journey with breast cancer, but a journey anybody can relate to. So comment, like, and share, and you might get this book. Now, when we come back, you're going to meet this amazing guy. His name is Dave Stevens. Dave Stevens, he's from Connecticut, born with no legs. Now, this man went on to play all kinds of sports, and actually professional sports. He's friends with Darryl Strawberry. So I cannot wait until we come back after this commercial for you to meet him. So Dave Stevens, when we come back after this commercial break.
Silvermine at Home, a Connecticut-based non-medical home care agency servicing Connecticut and parts of New York. Silvermine caters to their clients' needs while offering peace of mind to their families so their loved one can age in place and live their best life possible. Call today to see how they can make a difference in you or your loved one's life. Our family caring for yours. Visit silvermineathome.com or call 203-228-5007.
Welcome back to It Is What It Is with Cindy Seville. Welcome, Dave Stevens. How are you?
I'm doing great. Great to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm thrilled that you agreed to be on my show. Thank you so much. You have quite a story, and I cannot wait to get into it.
Yeah, the greatest sports story probably never heard. When I did my biggest things, it was back in the day of no internet, word of mouth, and 4 TV channels. So if I did it now, Justin Bieber might be playing me in a movie, and we'd be talking Hollywood, and I'd be rich.
Well, let's go back in time. I always like to start, from the very beginning. And you were born with no legs, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, right at birth, 1966. Next week I'll be 57. So yeah,
Happy birthday.
thank you.
We'll have to celebrate. So you were born. Is there a name for this or no?
I mean, no, at the time, because of the time, they thought it was thalidomide, which was a drug that women took for birth control, or for morning sickness that caused a lot of disabilities. But it turned out that timeline was earlier in the 60s than when I came around. And I didn't even know, like, that was my assumed explanation that everybody did. If you Google me in the old days, they would say, oh, he was a thalidomide baby. But when I met my birth mother, 4 years ago, which is another whole show. I found out it was just she had uh, valley fever, and they thought they treated her with some medicine, and they didn't know she was pregnant at the time. But it's just one of those things where they call me a congenital amputee, which I don't know how you are born amputated, but
Yeah.
that Cindy, as we get into the what we call people and label people and all that, like that's why I hate the word handicap. I hate the term disabled as we get into my story, just because this is my normal. Not having legs is my normal. And I was very blessed that I was adopted by two loving parents that, you know, instilled in me that will and desire to just be normal and to fit in and to do things that nobody in this planet has ever done.
And you really have. We're going to get into all that. I mean, incredible. You are such an inspiration. I actually remember learning about your story a couple years ago. And I was amazed, absolutely amazed. And well, let me ask you. You say you were adopted.
hmm
Did do you know why you were put up for adoption?
Yeah, I found out, like I said, my history completely changed the narrative of what you believe and know about. And I found out that my mother, they were well off. They weren't going to get married. And in those days, women went away to like a school, had the baby, came back, and nobody ever knew anything. So they put me up right at the hospital. My birth mother didn't even know, allegedly, that I didn't have legs. And they just, put a blanket up, took the baby away, and that was it. So I, you know, found out that I was taken right from birth to a foster home where they fell in love with me and decided to adopt me and keep me. And they were a lot older. My dad was a World War II vet who'd been injured a couple of times in World War II, and my mom was just a housewife. And they got me in their late 40s. And sadly, they raised me until I was 18. But my mom died from cancer the day I left for college, and my dad died a year and a half later for not taking care of himself because he was taking care of my mom. So that support that I had at age 18 was gone. And, I've kind of been on my own. I'm blessed with three beautiful children who have legs and are amazing. And but as far as those early times, yeah, it was quite a challenge to try to live in that world in a day where they institutionalized people with disabilities. So I'm lucky that someone got me and gave me that chance.
Yeah, that's incredible because you're right. Way back, I have a cousin who is a paraplegic, and he has fought for so many rights. For I mean, he's in a wheelchair, and just fought for so many rights. And I mean, he put ramps on the beach. I mean, because he loved going to the beach, and so
hmm
he fought for basic things that they should have thought to do, but they never did. So I'm sure when you were 18, it was very difficult for you, and being without that support. You're right, that has to be very, I mean, that's so young, 18.
Yeah, I mean, I as we're going to discuss, being playing sports and everything that got me to where I am. But after that, I turned to cocaine for a year. I dropped out of college. Like I really, you know, again, sometimes you can't get to the top until you hit rock bottom. So I've been, everybody thinks I've had this amazing, glamorous life, but I am human and we all fail. It's a matter of picking yourself up and learning from those mistakes and then doing the amazing things that I've done. I've been sober since January of 1987. And,
Oh,
so it can get done and you can do it. And I have a lot of empathy for people that, have to come and deal with these kind of things.
That's amazing. Now you went on to college, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah. So my story is that, at a young age, I started playing able-bodied sports. I played high school football, baseball, and wrestled in Wickenburg, Arizona, which got me on a TV show back in the day called That's Incredible. That then led me
I
to
remember
national.
that show.
Yeah, I
You
was
on
on
that
the very. I'm on the same episode when I was 14 years old, and you can Google Dave Stevens. That's Incredible and see it. But I was on the
Wow.
very same show with this little kid, and he was chipping golf balls off my fake legs because I wore artificial legs back in the day. I
Yeah.
didn't play sports with my legs, but I walked around in life. And this little kid's chipping golf balls off my legs, and I'm getting kind of irritated because I'm nervous. We're gonna go beyond before millions of people, and I look at the guy, and his dad says, "Tiger, stop doing that." I was on the same That's Incredible with this little 5-year-old Tiger Woods. So,
Oh,
you know,
oh my God.
I've lived this Forrest Gump life. Like, people don't realize that I've played minor league baseball and tried out for the Dallas Cowboys and played in the same outfield with Barry Bonds at the US Olympic trials and, continued to do things, career at ESPN, all those things that you don't think somebody with a perceived disability would be able to do. And I'm very proud of that journey. And now my job is to let people get those opportunities that I didn't have and just try to showcase that you can take that out of disability and teach empathy instead of sympathy.
I love that. I love that. Well, let me ask you, your sons, they have long legs, right?
Yeah, 6'3", 6'4", beautiful kids. They didn't get that from me, but they're playing baseball and they're working good. As you know, Cindy, with teenagers and things like that, you hear the horror stories of what happens.
Yeah.
And I don't have those, and I almost feel like I'm embarrassed that I've got good kids. They're wonderful. They treat women and men with respect, and they know how tough it was for a guy without legs to be a parent, to deal with getting kids in and out of cribs and getting them into a car and trying to give them a normal life without people, staring and looking at us and all that kind of thing. So I'm, now in my advancing age, it's nice to be able to have them take out the garbage and do the things that I, have to do running around on my butt and my arms. And so the trade out is getting a lot better with laundry and those kind of things too.
Yeah, no, that's great. Now obviously you got married. Oh, well, you don't have to get married to have kids, but I mean, you got married.
Yeah, I waited late till I got here at ESPN, and met a woman, and we got married, had kids. We've been divorced 13 years, but we co-parent well, and it was one of those things I wish I'd have done it earlier in life. But I'll be 57 next week, and the boys are 19 and soon to be 17 and 15, and I hope I can stay young and healthy-ish to continue to
Mhm.
throw a ball with them and do things and take them out and those kind of things. So I wish I had gotten about 10 years ago to still have that energy, but
Right.
it's been a great ride, and my best accomplishment is being a parent.
That's what I say. The two best things I've ever done in life are my two kids. Yeah, that's awesome.
Amen.
Yeah, amen. Exactly, exactly. Let me ask you, like, I know when I was younger, if anybody stared at any of my friends or family members for anything that was a little different, I would get very defensive, I became like, I was the protective one and I was a quiet, shy one, but nobody would ever look, at anybody I love, stare at them, whatever, whether it's um, a, a curious, kind of stare, or it's a negative, kind of, I don't know. How did your kids how did you deal with it? I'm sure people do look at you because you don't have legs. So how do you
Well,
deal with that? How did your kids deal with that? Or
well,
do they?
first off, I bet people stare at you because of how beautiful you are. So I'm sure, but those are different stares. Mine are usually in horror and shock of, hey, the guy has no legs. But from an early age as a kid, I noticed people were looking at me. It upset my sister. It was one of those things that you just kind of grow up with. And I learned at an early age that, I started putting on shows with the Shriners and singing and telling bad jokes and things like that because I realized that if people were going to stare at me, I might as well give them a show. So
Right.
I kind of took that attitude to sports because there has not been a legless guy that ever did what I did in sports to play in college and professional baseball. And I always know all eyes are on me. So if I fail, people be like, "Oh, well, he didn't have any legs. I feel sorry for him. He tried." But it was always like, wow, he's a good wrestler. He made a tackle. He got a base hit. He caught a ball. And it changes that perception of what we have inside so people can realize, well, if Dave has that wrong with him, what's my excuse? Why aren't I going out and trying harder and doing more things and trying to, give the best I can with the tools I have? And for my kids, same kind of thing. They see the stairs. We play games in the stores where we hear people say the things, and
Yeah.
most of the times, if I can, I'll try to walk up to that child and shake their hand and make it real. So the next time I'm not a monster. It's like that guy was nice. It's the parents that get freaked out
Yeah.
the most because they don't know how to deal with it. I had a woman in October was bringing her daughter out of Walmart in a shopping cart, and I wheeled up on my wheelchair, and the daughter's like, "Oh, mommy, wow!" And the mom said, "Yeah, isn't that scary?" And they kept on walking, and I'm like, what is that to tell a child that somebody in a wheelchair or disability is scary? It's like
Right.
we don't teach prejudices, like I mean, we don't inherit prejudices. We are taught prejudices. We aren't taught to look at race or color or gender unless it comes from those around us. So I try to, embrace that. And like I said, my kids and I, we see it all the time. They'll giggle if they see somebody react funny because it's just human nature. It's what
Yeah.
we are. I think it's worse if we make it a bad thing to not ask questions and talk about it and discuss, why are you like that? What happened?
Yeah.
Are you normal? Can you live a life? Do you drive? All the questions I get when they want to ask and talk about it.
Right, right. No, you're right. I mean, I personally, I'm going to tell you a funny, funny little story. I was pregnant with my first, I had 2 kids, but I would wear a bikini on the beach. And back then, my son is 23. Nobody was wearing bikinis being pregnant. No women was, they weren't wearing bikinis. And, everywhere I went, everybody would stare at me and point at me. And I remember getting upset, and I would get in people's faces and I would actually say, what, have you never seen a pregnant woman in a bikini before? So, and that's just being pregnant with the bikini. I mean, how ridiculous. But
Demi Moore pulled it off, right?
what's that?
Demi Moore pulled it off, right? Almost
I did.
totally
Yeah.
nude on Vanity Fair, if I remember back in the day.
You're right. You're right. Hey, listen, I loved it. I thought I looked beautiful with the belly, but again, I get very protective and all. Now we have about a minute left in this first segment. You wore fake legs, you were saying, like
Yeah.
prosthetics.
Yeah, it was important to me at that time growing up, to be equal, to be eye level, to have that respect. Life is tough in a wheelchair, and I never wanted to be in a wheelchair. I am now due to my arms breaking down, but I always felt like nobody would respect me or honor me. So I drug around those dead legs for years. People thought I had polio or that I was paralyzed. Imagine climbing the stairs of stadiums to get down to the fields to do interviews on crutches because those places are not accessible to this day for journalists that have disabilities. So
Wow.
I just learned to adapt, and I can in these days. And now it's important for me to be that champion for those that can't adapt. Due to COVID, we have needed to get our groceries and things quicker, so they took the handicap spots out of front, moved the, hey, park and grab your stuff, and the handicap spots are far away. So it's all these little things that the world doesn't take into consideration that makes life a lot tougher now. But yeah, I wore the legs. I don't miss them. I wonder why I did in the first place. But
You did it to
I'm
fit
doing
in.
okay.
You did it to fit in, didn't you?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know what? It's the best thing. When I was telling you yesterday, I had breast prosthetics when I had a double mastectomy and then with breast cancer, and surgeries went bad, and so they had to take everything out. I was flat for like, I don't know, about 4 or 5 months until I had my new implants put back in, and I was devastated. Again, I call myself an amputee because I am an amputee. I'm missing plenty of body parts myself. I just remember those prosthetics were so heavy and awkward. I remember the first time I put them on, and this bra was like, like I had to wear a shirt up to here, my neck, and it was so uncomfortable, and they were heavy and cumbersome. And so I ended up, I wore them for about a day or two, and then I said, F it, I threw them out. Said, you know what? I'm going to go flat until I get my implants. But we're going to take a quick break. So don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere, Dave. And we'll see you right after this commercial.
you or a loved one need the care of a nursing home? A vibrant community to call home with our healthcare professionals available 24/7? Candlewood Valley Health and Rehabilitation, located in New Milford, Connecticut, has been offering award-winning care for over 40 years. Whether you are rehabilitating from a cardiac procedure or hip replacement, or seeking a place for your loved one to live where he or she can receive top-notch health care, our team is at the ready. We also accept veteran benefits and offer a special secure memory care unit for residents with Alzheimer's or cognitive-related conditions. Call us at 860-355-0971. Candlewood Valley Health and Rehabilitation, a place to heal and thrive. Ballas Associates, sales, service, and support for all your computer and PC networking needs. Whether it's wired or wireless, upgrades or repairs, backup or disaster recovery, we can provide the solutions to all your PC needs. No need to get frustrated. You know a guy. Just call Ballas Associates at 203-792-2300. That's 203-792-2300. Or visit them online at ballasassociates.com.
Welcome back to It Is What It Is with Cindy Seville, and we have Dave Stevens here with us today. So, Dave, you played sports in high school, college. You played pro sports, right?
Yeah, I tried out for the Dallas Cowboys, and I tried out for the Minnesota Twins, Cincinnati Reds, U.S. Olympic baseball team, and then I played 3 weeks in 1996 with the St. Paul Saints, which is the minor league affiliate of the Twins. I was teammates with a guy named Darryl Strawberry and Jack Morris, and living the dream, fulfilled the dream that I had as a child that everyone said I would never achieve. And to be the only legless guy ever to play professional baseball is still something that probably won't ever happen again, but I can say I did it. I look at myself in a joking way, and I don't want to offend people, but I'm the only guy that played college football without legs. I'm the only guy to play professional baseball without legs, and I'm kind of like this legless Jackie Robinson, because people don't know about my story of what I did. And I would hope one day that somebody could get that opportunity, but it's a different world now. We see things differently, and with the internet and social media, all these things, we don't spin the positives in the right way. We spend hours swiping left on people getting kicked in the groin for funny and laughing, and all these stupid things that, our kids are living in a 7-second TikTok world that if they don't like it, they move on, and life isn't like that. So even in my advancing golden years, I try to lead by example, and still play sports and do things I'm probably not supposed to do at my age. But I wouldn't be where I am today if I hadn't, overcome that and played sports and figured out a way to play sports, and then dealt with parents and coaches that didn't want to let me in. And, as a coach, how do you tell a parent that, hey, that kid without legs beat your son out in the starting lineup because your kid sucks? Your kid is so bad, a legless guy can beat him out. And, and the parents going, how did this happen? And stuff like that. So
Right.
things I found out years after that you don't know when you're in the moment, that
Right.
I'm really lucky that I did what I did, and can continue to do what I do.
That's incredible. I love that you have that attitude that nothing stops you. You can accomplish anything. And truly, you're an inspiration. I mean, if a man with no legs can play professional sports, I think anybody could do anything.
Yeah, but that's the thing, we can, and I'm like this tiny thing, and I'm almost like that old Charles Barkley commercial. I don't try to be a role model. I have my flaws and my imperfections, but if I can lead by example and let people see me, I'm okay with that, because, like you said, people are always staring at me. If I'm in the store and I start to pick my nose, are they looking to go, look at that guy in the wheelchair picking his nose? Like, again, people are looking at me because it's a uniqueness that we're not used to. And it's the
Yeah.
same way when I speak. COVID kind of hurt my speaking career, because the dynamic of, hey, here's a guy without legs on stage, and it makes it like more like, wow, I'm going to listen to that. I'm going to look at that. And so I enjoy, a microphone, and performing and doing those things in front of a crowd. I'm a ham. I'm shy in real person, but it's like you become this because it's who I am, and it's the gifts that I've gotten. And I'll try to utilize these gifts now with my charity and everything like that for as long as my shoulders will hold up.
Right. Right. I want to ask you, you mentioned that you used cocaine for a little bit way back when you were
Mhm.
younger.
Yeah. It's
Wh-
not something I talk about a lot, but, I was at my lowest point, and
Yeah.
in the '80s, '70s and '80s, most people know it was kinda like, not a big deal as far as you doing
Right.
that. It was the drug of the culture, and it was one of those things where I was just hurting so bad from the deaths of my parents and being so young that you turn to that, and I remember one day, about this I've been doing it about a year, and I had, lost my job and dropped out of school, and I was sitting in a jacuzzi hot tub at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, just coked out of my brain. And I remember sitting up and looking up at the sky, and I just thought, wow, if everybody could see me now, this wonder kid who everybody believed in, at the lowest point, and my parents being dead, I'm like, are they seeing this? And I was just like, I need to fix this. And so that day I said, I'm going to get my scholarship back, and I'm going to get my job back in Minnesota in TV. And, I did, and I haven't looked back since. And I know some people, you've got to want to be healed. You've got to want to beat it, unless, because most people either regress or continue because they just, we know what mental situations are like that it just, they can't be helped.
Right.
So I've been on both sides. I became friends with Daryl Strawberry, who was an addict, and he's overcome that and is now a minister and doing great. Um, and it is something I don't talk about a lot because people will judge you. They'll be like, "Oh, you're just like the others, and you'll do, blah blah blah." And it's just like, well, you've never been in my non-shoes. You don't know what I've gone through, and the expectations of, like I said, oh, this amazing kid, he's wonderful, and it's just like, boom, no, he's human, and that's why I have a little more understanding for people on both sides of that. And I think
Right.
sometimes, you know, if I were to bring this up all the time when I speak, when I'm talking to kids, it might paint me in a bad, light, or it's like,
Right.
how do you inspire without, a church group being upset with you, or someone saying, well, then you're just like all the rest, and you can't be trusted, and
But
those kinds
you
of
know what I think? I think it makes, like, you brought tears to my eyes. I actually think that it makes you more real. You
Well,
know?
it's tough, as you know, on camera and on stage, it's tough to be vulnerable. And
Yeah.
I am to a fault. Since I found I
Yeah.
don't know what triggered me mentally, since I found my birth parents a couple of years ago. I was supposed to be on that TV show, Finding Lost Parents. And they found out my story, and they go, we're going to put you on TLC for an hour. We're going to find your parents. It's going to be beautiful. And we didn't have that Hollywood story happy ending. They flew to Minnesota when I was at the Super Bowl working, did my DNA test, and 2 months later, they're like, we've got good news and bad news. The good news is we found your birth parents. The bad news is they don't want to do the show. And so I connected with my mother, talked to her for a little bit, and we met, connected with my birth father for a 22-minute phone conversation where he said, oh, you sound like a good kid. Yeah, look, we can, talk and maybe have a relationship. An hour and a half later, I got a cease and desist letter from him texted to me.
Oh my God.
And I texted him like a week later, and he sent me this email or a text that I still have. You need to go on Dr. Phil. You need to realize you were a mistake, and you need to realize you shouldn't be here in the first place. And this is from, a man in his 70s, and
Wow.
so it's like to get rejected twice in your life. So my point is, now I'm so vulnerable sometimes that
Yeah.
when I get on stage, I'm so emotional, I will start to cry or I will tear up. And
Yeah.
it's like, I don't like that because, um, again, that vulnerability sometimes is so private. You don't want to, show that emotion. But
Sure.
I've gotten kind of in touch with it. You get over something, a revelation like that. I continue to, text and talk to my birth mother, but she has two kids that didn't know about me, and they don't want anything to do anything with me. My dad has three kids. They don't want anything to do with me unless they weren't told. I don't know everything, but
Right.
those Hollywood happy endings don't always happen. So I invest my time in my three sons who I love, and my friends, and
Yeah.
the college that I'm teaching at and working at, and all the things that now I'm giving back as far as my pro stance camps and things like that.
That's gotta be very, very painful. Oh my God, I can't even imagine. As a parent, I can't imagine, and you as a parent, how can you turn your kids away? How can you I could never.
Yeah, I don't know how, it was, to me it was a rejection twice,
Yeah.
because, and I know it was because of his wife, and I know it was because of, other things I can't control.
But be a man, really,
You
right?
know, it is what it is. I think they thought I was after money. They're well off, and I wasn't, trying to get anything. I just was like, hey, if I have brothers and sisters and cousins, the only good thing that came out of it is two real blood cousins found me, and we text and we chat every now and then, and I
Yeah.
have two real living cousins that are connected to me. So sometimes things work out, and as I said, sometimes I fantasized in my mind all my life that my mother would find me and realize, or saw me on TV growing up, because
Yeah.
I've been on TV thousands of times, and I'm thinking, oh, if she saw that, she's going to know her son made it and she'd be proud.
Yeah.
That never happened. We make those things up in our mind, and
Yeah.
you have to be prepared emotionally when sometimes because the truth hurts.
No, it really does. It really does. Wow. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's all right. You turn it into a learning experience, and then
It
you
defines you.
you
It
know
really makes you who you are. I mean, you're a
yeah.
strong person. Do you have siblings from your adopted but real parents?
Man, this is a downer of a show. I had a brother
Sorry.
that was part of my mom and dad, my adoptive side, who went to Vietnam, came back, got messed up, killed himself, and then I had a sister who died from cancer also about 18 years ago.
Wow.
So everybody that I was adopted to is dead in my
Wow.
life. There's no family, but luckily I have my wrestling coaches and high school football coaches. My baseball coach is 88 years old. I still talk to him and text with him. I'll be at the Super Bowl in Arizona, staying at my wrestling coach's house, he's 73. He's become my father slash, one of my best friends. So I'm lucky that I have had those support, things along the way, because we were poor growing up in Arizona too. We moved 13 times. I went to 5 different schools, and when you're in that element, you don't realize how poor you are until you're living in a one-room house going to high school and embarrassed to have your friends over, and contemplating your future. What was my future at age 14, having no legs, living in a one-room house, those kind of things. And I'm that story that you can overcome the biggest odds to be a success and make an impact in life.
You just need to want to do it.
Yeah.
You need to, so you always loved sports growing up.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, I don't know, in your mind, you're thinking I can do these things, and it's such a great distraction. And I was a walking encyclopedia with statistics and things. And I knew at an early age, I wanted to work in TV. Getting back to the That's Incredible show, you'll see this 15-year-old nervous kid standing there with Fran Tarkenton and John Davidson saying, I want to grow up and replace Howard Cosell one day. And I did it. I worked at ESPN for 20 years. I've been in TV for 40. I've got 7 Emmys that they're not participation trophies. They're like, you have no legs, we're giving you this trophy. It's something that, I earned as far as the merits on my ability and not a disability.
What are
So
the Emmys for? 7 Emmys. That's
yeah,
incredible.
just my work on Sports Center shows, NFL Countdown, Baseball Tonight, just the things that I worked closely with, creating content and those shows back in his ESPN's heyday, because I was there when ESPN meant something, and now it's very diluted because you can get everything on your cell phone and laptops and things like that. So
Yeah.
uh, I'm lucky that Chris Berman is my friend, and Dan Patrick and Kenny Mayne and all these people that but when I interview these stars and celebrities, I tell people I enjoy meeting more people like you, Cindy, the common people, because they are all fake or phony. And I'm blessed to get to know a lot of them personally, but
Yeah.
it's the people like you and I and the man on the streets that we are impacted by things every day in life, and we have to deal with those kind of things. And it takes a moment or a week like we had in the NFL with a player dying on the field. It almost brought everyone in the country together: Democrats, Republicans, black, white. We all cared about one thing: that this young man didn't die in one of
Right.
the most tragic things we've ever seen in our lifetime, live. It was live. We witnessed it, we saw it. And I wish that we could come together with love and peace and respect like we did this week, because nobody cared about Congress in session. Nobody cared about anything about except this kid, the people that worked on him, and the magnitude of what we witnessed.
That's a beautiful way to end this second segment. And I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree with you more. I'm glad people did come together, though. I wish you're right. I wish it would happen more often, but don't go anywhere. We got lots more with you, Dave, lots more for you. So we'll be right back after this commercial.
Silvermine at Home, a Connecticut-based non-medical home care agency servicing Connecticut and parts of New York. Silvermine caters to their clients' needs while offering peace of mind to their families so their loved one can age in place and live their best life possible. Call today to see how they can make a difference in you or your loved one's life. Our family caring for yours. Visit silvermineathome.com or call 203-228-5007. Do you or a loved one need the care of a nursing home? A vibrant community to call home where there are healthcare professionals available 24/7? Candlewood Valley Health and Rehabilitation, located in New Milford, Connecticut, has been offering award-winning care for over 40 years. Whether you are rehabilitating from a cardiac procedure or hip replacement, or seeking a place for your loved one to live where he or she can receive top-notch health care, our team is at the ready. We also accept veteran benefits and offer a special secure memory care unit for residents with Alzheimer's or cognitive-related conditions. Call us at 860-355-0971. Candlewood Valley Health and Rehabilitation, a place to heal and thrive.
Welcome back to It Is What It Is with Cindy Seville and Dave Stevens. So, Dave, what are you doing today?
Whew, we got 2 more segments to talk because I'm lucky that after I was released from ESPN in September of 2015 with 520 of my other closest friends, when we all thought at age 50 we had to start over, I became a motivational speaker. Started working with a group called D3 Day to put on baseball camps for disabled kids, and COVID kind of killed the motivational speaking stuff. So I started a podcast that somebody at Quinnipiac University saw and said, "Hey, we need to have that guy here." So the university started a program called Ability Media, where we do stories and features and writing and everything about the disabled world, because the handicapped community is the largest minority in the world with the smallest voice, and we're only represented in the media by 3%. That means everybody with body, you leggies and all you normal people are on camera. Your producers, your directors, very few disabled actors play those roles. It's always an actor playing somebody with a disability. So my job and function now that the university lets me do is teach, create content. I'm taking 5 kids with me to the Super Bowl to get that experience, and it's kids with seen and unseen disabilities, but we let you leggies in too, and it gives them a different perspective when they're writing about things and they see the world in a different way. And they're looking at sidewalks and elevators and accessibility points and watching about restaurants that don't have ramps, and what is it like for air travel for people with a disability, and all these things that are coming to fruition. And then I run a charity that we just started called Ability Pro Stance Ability Camps, which is I'm going to be putting on my own sports camps for disabled kids. We're kicking off at the Super Bowl in a couple weeks in my home state of Arizona. And doing that, and then I do have a podcast. It's competition against yours, but it's a sports podcast called the Gary Stein and Stevens Show. And what differentiates mine is you're not stuck with bad guests like me who no one have heard of. I tap into the sports world and the entertainment world and celebrities and things like that. And I'm really lucky that they come on, and I take a Howard Stern approach to my questions without the boobies and the penises part. Like you, I do my homework, and you ask deep questions that become almost like a conversation like we're having, where you will open up. So you can find me at davestevensspeaks.com. You can look at Dave Stevens Speaks on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all those worlds out there. And my YouTube page has our podcast, which are vodcast, their video, and I have fun with people. I embarrass my guests. I try to find obscure footage of guests. I had Lydia Cornell on a couple weeks ago. She was from Too Close for Comfort, and I found an obscure Battle of the Network stars of her falling out of a canoe and getting in and out, and we just have fun. I've got Donnie Most from Happy Days lined up in a couple of weeks, so
Awesome.
I just have fun. People don't know the show is a host without legs. I've gotten away from, hey, look at me, I don't have legs, to I'm just a journalist like you.
Right.
You look a lot better than I do, so yes, my shots are tighter. But I'm having fun at 57, being a dad. Um, I'm going to the Super Bowl in 3 weeks. I'm going to do comedy in Las Vegas in a couple of weeks for the first time in my life. So,
That's
uh,
awesome.
and I'm on a charity of Runway of Dreams, which is a fashion push by Mindy Shire to create clothing that's adaptable and wearing. So instead of buttons, you might have Velcro or snaps for people that can't dress themselves, or your pant leg is bigger than the other, or you're in a wheelchair and everything bunches up. And
Right.
so I've been on the runway in New York now as a fashion model. I'll be at the Javits Center in a couple weeks modeling for them. Like it's
Wow.
crazy that my life has gotten even bigger. A lot of people could say, "Well, just write a book about your sports and what you lived in and did and all that kind of stuff." And my approach is, yeah, I mean, that was then. This is now, and it is what it is.
Isn't that the greatest saying? It is what it is.
Yeah.
I tell you, when I went through my breast cancer, a lot happened, and I was trying to understand, like, my own family. They're my birth family, I think, but we're back together. But they dumped me 6 days after my double mastectomy, and I'm very open. I'm an open book. I tell people the way it is. It's my life. It's my story. My truth. And so I remember 2 weeks into that, after they left, and I just pacing my bedroom. I couldn't understand why, and all I could do was cry. And I finally said to myself, you know what? It is what it is. And
Yeah.
that's really my favorite saying. I tattooed.
We can swear on this show. Can we start over?
I give Bobby, the producer, a lot of work when I do swear because, yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, but that's how my book, which I'm going to have to give you a copy, It Is What It Is, how I came up with the title. It gets me through everything in life. I tattooed it, like I say, on my foot, and I'm kind of known for that word. It's my favorite word. So, but it gets me through everything. So It Is What It Is a cleaner version of It Is What It Is.
And I know what you went through because my mother, had breast cancer like for almost all my young childhood life, and it was in those days we didn't have the technology, so it was like chop it off. Let's go in and dig more out. Let's go in and cut more out. Let's go in and take a part of a lung. Let's go do that. And I watched my mother and my dad have to take care of her every day as I'm going to high school, and to see what that does to a person. And I just, I'm so glad that you were able to survive. And I
Thank
know what you went through mentally and emotionally and with your family and kids. And it's like, getting cancer, you're the one with cancer. It's not the outside world. And I don't understand why it's so awkward for them when it's your
Right.
personal battle and you need that support and you need people not to judge you and be afraid to touch you or hug you or ask if you're okay, and just be there for you. So
That's it.
God bless you for overcoming it and making your life into what you've done.
Thank you. Thank you. And like I say, all of the hardships, my show is all about real people. You were talking about that. It's all about real people, real life adversity. I have more interest in real life people stories. And so I bring on real people. I mean, yesterday I was in your neck of the woods and with a good friend, Bill Stacks, and we went into something I was telling you, Tent City. And, we ended up meeting homeless people. And my heart always has ached for those with no home, those that, I see them, the people that don't have. And, I go into a warm house, a warm bed, and I can't tell you how many times I felt guilty. And I think about the people that, even last night, I thought about the people I met that are living in tents, with the little dog or kids, and, that nobody should live like that. So anyways, what was I going to say? Oh my goodness. Oh my
And
goodness.
I told you I've got a whole
Real
couple of
people.
cases of shirts that we're going to hook them up with and
Oh,
try to help them
awesome.
out. So
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. But it's those real people. It's just real people with, we all have a story to share. And I'm here to share them. I'm here to bring them to light. And so, I mean, your story is just, it's just absolutely fascinating. I mean, let me ask you something personal. Can I ask you something personal?
Sure, nobody's listening, right?
Right.
Yeah, I hope they are, but no, I'm joking.
No, they will
It's
be when we
just
air
us.
this.
It's just us.
Just as for now, for now. Um, so dating, what is your dating life like?
It's been a challenge my entire life, just because, you know, especially starting in high school and all that. It's like, all the girls, and again, I'm not being offensive to those that might be gay or whatever, but the typical, girl grows up, wants the high school quarterback, 6'2", all that kind of stuff. I wasn't that. I was 3'2" and my ass is on the ground. So it's like those girls, they're not mature enough to handle that. And it started at an early age when I was dating somebody at age 18 that I met, and then 19. And you think you're going to marry him, and then you show up one day and they have a guy at their house. They open the door, they've just had sex, and she looks at you and says, I can't love a man without legs as much as a man with legs. That leaves an impression in your brain going forward in life. So I know that it is difficult to accept somebody like me, because again, I had to have this amazing personality to make sure that people were enticed by the rest of the half. And so I've done okay, as far as that. I think curiosity has helped a lot. But not many women can say they dated a guy whose penis drags the ground when he walks, those kind of things. Um, but it's good and bad, because as I've dated later in life, and I've had this quasi celebrity. They don't like to travel. They don't like that I'm meeting women on the road, or
Right.
on social media. 75% are women liking things and commenting and things like that, and so it
Yeah.
gets tough. But um, it's one of those things that right now I focus on my 3 teen sons, because they're my focus, and if I can date around it and they can handle my travel schedule or whatever,
Yeah.
so be it.
Yeah.
It's important also to protect them, because again, I've had public relationships where people go after them and say things and stuff like that. So I try to keep my private life immensely private, because I am so public, and you can Google me at a moment's notice. And
Right.
so if you look at my pictures, I'm never in a bar with buddies drinking a beer. Kenny Mayne taught me that always be respectful in all those social posts, because at any moment they could say, "Hey, these three guys were drinking together and they attacked that woman in a bar and went home with her and did bad things." And it's like, well, what's the proof? Here we are all drunk and with
Yeah.
beer or whatever. So I
Yeah.
try to be cognizant of everything in my life. My sons hate taking pictures and being posted. I get once a year, I think. I had this Christmas where I had them pose with me.
Great
Oh,
picture.
Dad, come on,
Yeah.
Um,
I saw
but
that. It was a beautiful picture.
yeah, so but the dating thing, it is challenging, because I think it does take a very special person on your side to overlook the cosmetic parts, to want to get and think, okay, well, you know, do I have to reach things when they're high? Who handles the laundry? Yeah, sure, I could soak his butt and he can mop the floor, but is he going to be able to clean the windows? Those kind of things that we think about. But
Right.
it's okay, and I'm I'm okay. I've done okay, and and I know, like I said, the focus right now is we'll see in a couple years where I'm going to be.
Well, listen, legs, no legs, dating is not easy in our 50s.
Yeah, I made the mistake of, I'm so old, and you find these dating apps, and during COVID, I'm like, oh, I'd like to order a foot long grinder, and you download Grinder, and a guy shows up naked, and I'm like, this is not the grinder I ordered. Holy cow! What's going on here?
Oh,
No,
that's hysterical. Oh my God, you should have videotaped that.
I'm working on my stand up, so it'll be in there. So
Love it. I love it. So yeah, so you're going to be doing stand-up comedy. And I saw that commercial you sent me. Oh my God, hilarious.
yeah, they're trying to put together something called the Blue Zone Comedy Tour with disabled comedians, and he saw me perform. I did it as a charity event last year as a lark. The guy
Yeah.
saw my tape and said, I want you to come and be with real comedians. So I'm working on my stuff. I've always tried to make people laugh. I just haven't had to do it in a 15-minute set where
Yeah.
it's rehearsed and you've got to do these things. But I'll probably be the most scared of my life. It's a big, 350 set, in Las Vegas to
Yeah.
kick off. It's not some podunk little comedy club in a dive bar in New York.
Right.
There's going to be an audience. There's going to be expectations that I'm funny. So other than being funny looking, I can't just sit there for 15 minutes and spin around.
Right.
Get tired of that, or I get dizzy. Then what do you look at? So
Right. Right.
I'm gonna, I'll take a shot, and it's one of those things where, we'll see what happens. Eventually, it could turn into something good if people want to. If you're in the Vegas area and you're listening or watching on this episode, go to BlueZoneComedyTour.com. You can get tickets, support the disabled comedians. The money's going to my charity. It can't go to me because that'd be illegal. So it's going to my charity where we're putting on sports camps. But I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to have this platform to, basically prostitute myself out. I come cheap. I really do.
Oh, you're hysterical. Listen, I can't even imagine. I mean, I saw the video, the commercial you sent me. Oh my God, you really are funny. So definitely have a good sense of humor. When you can make fun of yourself, especially, I do all the time. You got to
You
laugh.
have to. You can't make fun of others if you can't make fun of yourself. And as I always say, hire the handicapped. They're fun to watch.
Yeah. Oh God, you have been amazing. Tell us, we run out of time, but tell everybody how they can reach you, please.
Just, Google Dave Stevens Speaks. I love to mentor. I have people asking me, hey, my kid lost their legs, or how do I do this? If I can help parents on both sides, it's all those kind of things. And again, Cindy, thank you for having me. It's been one of the funner ones I've ever done.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your story. You are a true inspiration, and really, I can't wait till this airs. So thank you so much, Dave. And you know what? I'm honored to call you my friend. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, don't go anywhere. When we come back, you'll hear my final thoughts. Welcome back to It Is What It Is with Cindy Seville. I hope you enjoyed the show with Dave Stevens. He is a true inspiration. Listen, if a man with no legs can play professional sports, you can do anything. I'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure, comment, like, and share if you want to win my book. See you soon.
Live your life like a dreamer.